I mean, it's an incredible opportunity. I want to thank everybody for taking interest in this press conference in the announcement. I was just thinking about this that you never know where life takes you, and sometimes life is about timing. And this is the time in my life where this is the perfect opportunity. And I had a chance to talk to Rod and to Sheila and to understand and share the vision of what they picture the Lions moving forward. And it's kind of along my core beliefs on everything regarding life and football. And so when you have that type of alignment, I think that's something that we are committed to create. And the one pride thing to me goes beyond the building, obviously in the building, but the one pride thing is embracing Detroit, the city of Detroit, the fans of Detroit. It's something I think that I still identify with, I felt a part of, and for lack of another word, it's really, really good to be home in that regard. And I have a vision of that matches exactly what Rod and Sheila envisioned, and that's the only way this could work, because we're completely in sync of the direction of the culture of the building, and something to be proud of for everybody that's a Lions fan. I did want to address this. The timing is right. There's, for years, I've been approached over the years from different opportunities within football, and life takes you sometimes in different directions, and choices that we all make as husbands and fathers and wives and mothers and all those kinds of good things. And so I really do think that this is the absolute right time to get involved. And I'm really excited. I can't tell you how excited I am about the opportunity. The Lions are part of my identity. They always have been, and they always will be. And when I say one pride, that's just not a noun for me. I always think that is a word of action, and that's going to be my goal moving forward.
The Detroit Lions seem to be on an Olympic timetable in their never-ending search for respectability. However, they hope that the changes they'll make this offseason will put an end to their revolving door of inconsistency. And it starts with the team turning to a favorite and cherished son, with former All-Pro linebacker Chris Spielman trading in his microphone and stepping out of the broadcast booth in favor of a role in the team's front office as a special assistant to President and CEO Rod Wood and Chairman Sheila Ford Hamp as the team searches for a new head coach, general manager, and a consistent and winning organizational culture. So what does Spielman's appointment mean for the future trajectory of the franchise, and how will his presence impact the team's search for leadership both on and off the field? Friend of the program, Jake Reitma, update anchor and producer at 97.1 The Ticket, returns to action this week on the program to provide some food for thought on what Spielman's return means for the Lions. I'm Kevin McShad. Let's have this conversation. Jake, I want to welcome you to the show again. It's always great to see you, and I'm excited to talk some Lions football and Chris Spielman with you this morning. Always great to see you, and thanks so much for being here this morning.
Kevin, the pleasure is all mine. It's always an honor to be on your show, to talk with you. And one of these days, we're going to have better news than the Detroit Lions to talk about. But regardless, my friend, it's always an honor to be on your show and a blast to spend some time with you.
Fantastic. Now, the biggest offseason move they've made so far is hiring Chris Spielman to sort of spearhead their coaching and GM search. So I'll start you off by asking your initial reaction to that decision.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the news, I was really ecstatic. I mean, this is a guy that his Detroit roots run so deep, and he's tied to the franchise. And even in his broadcasting endeavors with Fox, he always did a great job. Was a first class act all the way, and he always puts his best foot forward in whatever he does. And then when you compile that with the fact that he's now going to be working in the front office and in a role that allows a lot of flexibility, he's going to be that assistant to Rod Woods and have that opportunity to put his stamp on the Lions franchise moving forward in a different way than as a player. And we all know about what a great player he was. And I mentioned the broadcasting endeavors at Fox. Whatever he's done, he's been successful at. And I hope and pray, and I know I'm not alone in that prayer, that this next chapter for Chris Spielman will be more of the same, continued success. And I'm optimistic because look, this is a franchise that means so much to him. There's something to be said about the ownership in your work. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find somebody that wants the Detroit Lions to be successful more than Chris Spielman. And so for that, I'm ecstatic, and I can't wait to see the stamp that he puts.
Now, you're obviously hoping that this goes a lot better than the last guy they got out of the broadcast booth, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, there's, if there was a perfect formula, of course, everybody would use it, and it's not an exact science. And, football's not played in a test tube. You can't look at a formula, and Pro Football Focus does a great job, sure, of trying to break it down that way. But there's an extra step that either, and I hate to oversimplify it like this, but sometimes players have it and players don't. So evaluating certain players is something that I think Chris Spielman will bring that extra edge to the Lions front office, something they haven't had, as you alluded to, the struggles of the ownership and really the front office of this organization has been really a laughing stock for the entire league. So maybe Chris Spielman is the guy that can rewrite that script and turn things around in Detroit. And as fans, as media members, as anybody that is associated with the Detroit Lions or follows the team, that's all you can hope for. And in 2020, now moving into 2021, we know what kind of a year it's been for everybody in all aspects, not just football, of course. There are far bigger things in life than that. So as we turn the page into 2021 with Chris Spielman now making some decisions for the Lions, I'm optimistic, and I think fans and everybody else should be as well.
And what do you say to those people that say that this may be more of a public relations or publicity stunt versus a smart football decision? Where do you fall on that?
And you're right. You're going to have that. You're going to have those quote unquote naysayers that view this as a publicity stunt, just trying to get somebody that has ties to the organization in a position of power. And I think it's more than that. And Chris Spielman knows football. You hear it on the broadcast repeatedly on Fox. This guy is able to evaluate players. He knows the game. He played in Detroit. He knows what it takes to win in Detroit. And of course, there's more to it than just that. But in front office work runs in his blood. His brother's done a tremendous job as the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings. So I'm sure he's picking his brain repeatedly and going to take some stuff that's worked in Minnesota and try to implement it in Detroit. Not to the point like we, completely steal the system like the Lions front office tried to do with the Patriot way. Again, I promise I'm not going to continue to say those words because we all know how unsuccessful trying to implement the Patriots way was. But I think you'll see with Chris Spielman, he'll have his stamp on this Lions team. And it's more than just a publicity stunt because the guy knows football. The guy knows Detroit. He knows what it takes to win. And I think he's a first-class human as well, which, will only bode well in the entire process.
Now, from a football perspective, his first job is obviously hiring or helping to hire a head coach and general manager. So I'm wondering what sort of characteristics do you think that they should be looking for in both positions, and how do you think Chris will help in that process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know the goal, of course, is to hit a home run. And anytime you're hiring a head coach and the most important position of your franchise, the head coach, and then as well the general manager, that's all you can hope for is hitting a home run. And there's candidates out there. There's we can get into all those. Of course, Robert Sully is high on my list, and I think that's who the Lions should target. Louis Riddick, the general manager, as a possible general manager, is getting some opportunities in terms of being discussed as some opportunities, rather, I should say. And I think those would be two viable candidates as well. But you got to find the right fit. And I know it's easy for me and easy for you to sit behind these microphones and say, you got to find the right fit. But what does that look like? It's somebody that's going to come in, take ownership, and really establish their stamp on the Detroit Lions franchise, because this is a franchise that just hasn't won. That it's not like there's a rich history here and someone can take the pages out of the previous regimen in the chapter. You got to completely come in and be 100% unique, start fresh. And I think Chris Spielman will have a huge hand in doing that and allowing the general manager and whoever the next head coach is to do that as well. So, having the identity of the city of Detroit, Detroit versus everybody, a hardworking blue collar football team, that would go a long way to resonate with fans. But again, it's about finding what works in Detroit and what works for the Detroit Lions. What does that look like? If I had the answers, I'd be getting paid a lot more than what I am to be, on the radio every now and then, right?
So if Sheila called you up and gave you the power to make the decision, who would be on the top of your list, wish list for both positions, Bud?
Yeah. Defensive coordinator Robert Saleh out of San Francisco, the Dearborn native, played football at Fordson High. The guy, it's over, Kevin. It might be overstating the importance to say that I would love someone that has ties to Detroit, just like Spielman, because it means more. The ownership is there, and I guess it's a little bit of an exaggeration to say they will do whatever it takes to be successful. But I think that's what you're looking for. And I think that Robert Saleh would have that stamp, that blueprint on this Detroit team. It'd be his first head coaching job in the NFL, and he's earned it. I mean, look at that San Francisco defense. You got guys like Richard Sherman going on the record and endorsing him as a head coach, and what an opportunity to give him a shot in his hometown, in a city that is so desperate for a winner. So could you imagine just the support he would have already behind him? This franchise is already at ground zero, already at the bottom, and bringing in this guy to bring him up. It's it might be me, the hopeless romantic in me, wanting such a outstanding story to be, to cover and to be a part of. But I also believe in my heart that he can get the job done. And there's other coaches out there too as well. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. And this is more just in Jake Reitman's world. I think Tony Dungy would still has what it takes to be a successful coach if he wanted to. But I still put Robert Saleh at the top of that list.
Well, after the Lions fired Jim Caldwell, I don't think Tony Dungy has any interest in helping out his hometown team anymore, buddy. But
right, I know
that might be a pipe dream, but that's okay. Now, my next question, Jake, is something that Sheila said during the press conference announcing the firing of Matt and Bob, when she said that she wanted at least one of the positions to be filled by a veteran presence. Do you think that that approach might evolve if they go through this process and say they hire a Louis Riddick or an Eric Bieniemy?
I do. Yeah, I do. I don't think yes, I heard the comments as well. And I think you put a lot of stock into what is said at a press conference, but I also don't think that it needs to be 100% binding in terms of dictating the way the process goes moving forward. I think if you find the right two candidates, the right head coach and the right general manager, and it doesn't exactly match up to what you said in a press conference last month, I don't think that's the end of the world. And so for that reason, you talk about other experienced general managers, guys like Ed Dodd, who's with the Indianapolis Colts organization. And, Louis Riddick is inexperienced. So, he's been in front offices, never been a general manager, that sort of thing. Jeff Ireland was another name that was tossed around. He's the Saints assistant general manager. And so,
no.
Yeah, there you go. I
He's
was just about to get to him.
Yeah, he's on
I
the
was going
top
to say, I'm curious where you stand on this.
Yeah, no, my wish list for the Lions is John Dorsey and whoever he deems to be a suitable head coach. Now, he did have the mishap of hiring Hugh Jackson to be a head coach, or sticking with him when he got to Cleveland, but I would go with John Dorsey myself, or Rick Smith, because both of those gentlemen have actually won division titles, something this franchise hasn't done since I was 3 years old, Jake. So I'm desperate for some consistency myself.
I'm with you. I would not be, I definitely would not be opposed to of Dorsey. Maybe Dorsey and Saleh would be the perfect combination.
With the changes the Lions have now made, do you think this is an attractive job for a GM to take?
That's a good question, and I would imagine my hesitancy to answer that question tells you all you need to know. When you look in comparison to other franchises that are going to be hiring, head coaches and have better draft picks and have different tools in place, I think the Detroit Lions job is certainly an uphill battle. But, that can be appealing to the right candidate to go to a place that's never won before, and they can be the ones that rewrite the script, and they can be the ones that implement a winning culture, and they can be the ones that provide this city with something, as you mentioned, you were 3 years old the last time they won a division title. And Lord knows we don't even need to talk about playoff wins and Super Bowls. I'm getting way ahead of myself there. But to be that guy that comes in to this franchise, this city, and is the first ever to provide it, that's certainly up, like I said, an uphill battle, huge challenge, but maybe that's appealing to the right candidate.
Now, I got three more for you. The first, of course, is our favorite son here in Detroit, number 9. After he got hurt against the Packers, I told people that he probably shouldn't play for the rest of the season, but he was out there yesterday during that massacre in Tennessee. So I'm wondering, do you think Matthew Stafford has to be convinced if they want him back here in Detroit to stay?
Yeah, I've been on record with you as saying that I think it's time for a healthy separation for both parties. I think both parties need to go their separate ways. But you see the statement that Stafford made yesterday after the game, and that was all over the Lions social media about if he's able to suit up and he will, go to war with his teammates and work his you-know-what off. And that's the type of – his attitude's never been one to question. And really his abilities are – and you hear guys like Phil Simms go on record and say he's one of the most talented quarterbacks. And that's never been the question. It's just been a matter of getting over the hump and winning games that you want, that have never been won before in terms of playoff wins and meaningful games. And I think, again, I go back to my original statements on this topic with it being 12 years. That's enough of a sample size for me that it's just not going to happen here. And that's not to take anything away from the type of guy he is, from the community member he is, and all that he does for those that are less fortunate than him. He's really an admirable guy in all aspects, but I just think it's time for a healthy separation. And I think the new regiment that comes in will have that. I can't speak for them, but I got to believe that they'd want to also start fresh and move forward and would not be tied to Matthew Stafford. So I personally think his days in Detroit are numbered. A lot of people will disagree with me on that, but you also look at some of the other franchises out there that are maybe a quarterback away from having a legitimate contending team. And maybe, again, I keep going back to the term a healthy separation where both Matthew Stafford and his camp can benefit from him playing in a different uniform, and the Detroit Lions can start fresh and begin this new era with a new quarterback, new head coach, new general manager.
Well, whoever the new general manager is, I would have the Colts on speed dial, but that's just me.
Yeah, Colts, Broncos. I mean, Bears. I know it's in the division with the Bears, but there are some teams out there that I think would love to have Matthew Stafford suit up for them.
And Jake, whoever takes over this, I'm hesitant to call them a dumpster fire, but after watching that defense this weekend, they were 4 points away from giving up a 50-burger, so I'll stick with dumpster fire. But whoever takes over the team will have to fix the defense. And I was just talking with my brother, and I said, whoever takes over this team in the draft, they should adopt the same philosophy as the Carolina Panthers did this offseason in the draft by going all defense. So I'm wondering your thoughts on how to fix the train wreck that is the Lions defense.
Yeah, I think you do have to build it through the draft. And Kevin, you're not, and that's not a bad take or opinion at all. I'm one to agree with you. However, the way this organization, I should say, drafted last year and the year before that, it just, unfortunately, and I can't, again, I hate to cry over spilled milk. It happened. They didn't draft Tua Tagovailoa or Justin Herbert, which I wanted them to draft Tua. That's my number one take. I will die on that hill that the Lions should have drafted a quarterback last year with the 2 potential generational talents that were out there. And nobody knew Herbert was going to be this good. I think a lot of people believed he was going to be a franchise quarterback, and same with Tua. And so you had that opportunity to draft with them. Again, they didn't. It's hard to continue to hammer that take, but it's so unfortunate they didn't, because I think if you had your future franchise quarterback in place from drafting him last year, you could dedicate 100% of the draft and go the Carolina Panthers style that you alluded to and draft all defense. And now I just think they're in quite the predicament. And a team that struggles as much as the Lions do, there's obviously a lot of holes on that roster. So it should come as a surprise to nobody that the fact that they're in such a predicament. And again, people are paid a hell of a lot more money than I am to evaluate players and to know the draft and to find those right fits. And the Lions just haven't done that in years past through the draft. But this year, I would not mind going through going and prioritizing defensive players in the draft. But at the same time, it's tough to overlook the need of the next franchise quarterback as well.
Well,
I think one of the things that Chris can do for us, in addition to adding a football voice and a lot of passion, you'll hopefully hear that in a second when Chris starts talking about the team and the organization, is helping us build a Detroit Lions culture throughout the entire organization. We have this tagline, "One Pride," which I think is perfect, and that we really want everybody in the organization to be pulling the same direction, feel part of the organization, and build this great culture that hopefully can lead to success on the field and off the field and in the community.
Yeah, absolutely. There's there's an element, I keep going back to this, there's an element of credibility when you bring in a guy that not only played in the league and had success in the league, but did it for that specific franchise. So, and I don't think you can overstate the value in bringing in a guy that was a part of a culture. And again, it's not like they won Super Bowls or anything, but it was a much more successful era of Detroit Lions football when Chris Spielman was a part of it. And then when you compile that with, again, the type of human being that Chris Spielman is, that does the right thing, that everybody, has that, he has that charismatic feature about him that people will run through a brick wall for him. And I think bringing that and implementing it into the Detroit Lions franchise will be huge, because they've never had that, at least in recent times. They haven't had that strong culture. You see it when Patricia gets fired and all these players are firing off on Twitter about how it was time, and how miserable it was to play for a guy like Matt Patricia. And so I think bringing in a guy like Spielman will solidify the relationship between players, coaches, and management, with which the most successful franchises are all on the same page with those 3 components. So Chris Spielman will act as kind of really the mediator, the manager that's keeping everybody together, the fearless leader, all of that, because he has that element of credibility, because he's done it as a player, and now he has the chance to do it in the front office as a member of the organization.
Hey, Jake, it's always great to see you and talk a little Lions football. Hopefully, this makeover will be the last one for a while, and they'll start winning some football games. What a novel concept, but always great to see you. And thanks so much for joining me this morning to talk some Lions football.
Absolutely, Kevin. I echo those same remarks, my friend. I hope and pray as well. And it's always a pleasure to be on here anytime. I'm always available and always love hanging out with you on your show and appreciate the time. Have a great one.